So if you've been following the development of virtual reality for a while, you probably remember the hype train that started building up around the 2012 launch of the Oculus Rift on Kickstarter. And maybe you were even lucky enough to get your hands on that coveted version 1 dev kit of it. But you're probably less aware of the prototype that came before it. Okay, this is not actually a prototype of the Oculus Rift. This is the first ever VR headset invented by Morton Heilig back in 1960, and he called it the Telesphere Mask. It could play stereoscopic video in 2 little tiny miniaturized cathode ray tubes. And as goofy as this thing looks, his patent drawings are strangely familiar. This is basically identical to the form factor that we have in the HTC Vive and the Rift today. And while this wasn't interactive because it didn't have any kind of motion tracking, that arrived not long after in something made by Ivan Sutherland that he poetically named the Sword of Damocles, presumably because it has this super creepy apparatus that dangles over the user's head, which is actually a mechanical motion tracking system. And because it displayed its simple wireframe graphics by projecting onto lenses without obscuring the user's view, this is also actually the first ever augmented reality display. So my point is that these concepts that we often think of as very cutting edge today are actually old, like really old. And while none of those products saw much commercial viability, all of that would change in 1989 with the introduction of iPhone. Not that iPhone, the other iPhone, as seen here. You may not be able to tell, but this is a photo from the late 80s, early 90s, when a company called VPL Research sold their iPhone, which had head and hand positional tracking, 3D avatars, multiple users in a shared virtual space, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with those graphics. That's basically like original Tomb Raider level graphics, 7 years ahead of its time. In 1991, another company called Virtuality started selling VR rigs for arcades, but at $15,000 each, nobody was buying these for personal use at home. Their competitor VPL did try to make a consumer version of their $9,000 Data Glove, which was a peripheral for the also $9,000 iPhone. But in their effort to simplify that into something that could hit their price point, they literally made the Nintendo Power Glove, which was not well received. The 90s saw several other flops, including Nintendo's Virtual Boy, which gave everybody headaches, and a Sega headset that didn't even make it to production. So what's the matter with VR? Well, one challenge that all of these pioneers faced is that it's really hard to give a compelling demo of VR. Your only real option is to bring the hardware to an audience, try to convince them to try it out. And even then, you're normally just one person at a time, and everybody else is basically looking at this guy. And that's not entirely fair because, yeah, you can show a video feed of what the display is seeing, but that sort of first-person view immediately kills that sense of depth and scale and immersion that makes everything so effective. However, earlier this year, a game trailer did come out that, to me, I think this video is going to be terrible, that definitively answered how to do this. This is a game called Beat Saber that some of you got to try out last night. I even attempted to recreate the green screen setup you need to do this mixed reality view. So that's one challenge down. But the VR hype train still seems to be facing a bit of an uphill climb, as it continues to be categorized as an expensive niche device, exclusive for gaming with little practical application anywhere else. It's been tried before, and mass marketing virtual reality just doesn't seem to work. But you can look at that same history of repeated failures and instead choose to see a tenacious, decades-long drive to realize a singular vision. And you might conclude that its success is inevitable. And then the only real question is, what do we want to build with it? Thank you.